this country is so polarized to an extent that you can look at the surname of a person and you will know their opinion on a particular matter. That you can, when news diggers, for instance, where we have consensus, where you don't have tribal inclination, regional inclination, when it comes to news diggers, these topics to do with the pinky headlines. Ma pinky headlines, paja kulibe UNIP, kulibe DPP, kulibe UPND, kulibe PF, kulibe ZD, RP, UP, kulibe. But on matters that affect the Zambian people, our politics has really divided us. We are divided within families. We are divided even in our homes.
Interesting. Why are you not contesting this election?
Yeah, so to do the registration for this party, it was a hard one. A lot of times people have asked, how did you manage to register DPP? One of the reasons is because of our experience. We have been in a ruling party and we have been in an opposition political party. We understand how governance structures are working. We understand how limited, for instance, the civil service is and constrained the civil service is and how the system operates. So we used our knowledge and experience to do mingalato and find ourselves at a place where we managed to register this political party. It took us more than 1 year fighting back and forth. So by the time the party was finally registered and launched, we didn't have enough time to mobilize the structures and to mobilize the resources. Remember, we are dealing with 1,858 wards, 116 districts, 226 constituencies, 10 provinces. So you need a lot of time, you need money and the resources and time to do all those things. So we said we are young, we will contest in 2031 and beyond.
Right. Now, Mr. Mwanza, you are not contesting in this election, and I hope that you would be in a position to give me a very objective view of what is happening. And I would like us to focus on the UPND and also the NRPUP. What do you think are the prospects of these two political parties?
So in this election, the DPP has not endorsed anybody. And we have had several discussions, and these discussions continue with our friends from the opposition political parties. We have not talked to the UPND. We have been discussing with the opposition political parties. But one of the challenges that we have had is the issue of why do we need to come together? What's the agenda for Zambia? Is it just Ukakana after we win? Or what is the agenda? Because politicians never suffer. They'll win elections, they'll share positions, they'll share contracts, they'll share influence. But what happens to the ordinary people in the compound, the ordinary people in the villages, the ordinary people in the offices? So we are still at that level where we are trying to agree, not on everything, but at least on the key issues, on health, on agriculture, on education, on investment, on ownership, on taxation. We need to agree before we endorse anybody.
Interesting. And I also want you to tell me, have you had conversations with the Tonse Alliance?
Yes. We have had
the Mundu with the led Tonse Alliance.
Yes, we have had several discussions with our brothers, our sisters, our relatives from Tonse, several times.
Do you agree with the perception or the narrative that Tonse is simply the Patriotic Front reincarnation?
There's President Hakainde Samichilema, every time he goes around, he says Mwena ni Mwena.
Right.
And he says that the Tonse have just changed their name. These are PF people, they've just changed their name to Tonse. Yeah, because the PF has joined the UPND. The PF is with the UPND. Yeah, I think there's a huge membership of the PF that has gone. Originally, the Tonse was a PF initiative. So we expect to have a huge following of the Patriotic Front in the Tonse Alliance, because they're the ones, PF was part of the Tonse Alliance from the beginning. So yes, we expect a huge amount of people from PF to be part of Tonse.
Right. And this Patriotic Front faction, can we call it that, which has gone on to form the Tonse Alliance, it has really gained ground and momentum and a lot of following, actually. A lot of people did not expect that to happen. The question is, Do you have more confidence in this particular formation than you had in the PF that lost power because of the mistakes that it made, which you referred to?
So the PF that lost power, remember, it had one advantage. It was in power.
Okay.
It had the power of incumbency. It had access to unfettered access to resources because people give muturo to the ruling party. So they had an advantage of being the party in power and having access to resources and having access to the systems of governance, which the current Tonse in opposition doesn't have in terms of the resources and in terms of the access to the systems of government.
Right.
But there's one thing that is interesting. One of the things why this Tonse, for instance, is getting a lot of traction is an indictment on President Hakainde Hichilema's leadership.
Okay.
Zambians from 1991, 2011, and 2021 have demonstrated that they don't vote for a political party. No, they vote against a ruling political party.
Right.
When they are dissatisfied, when they are frustrated, they vote against the ruling party. And if you look at the wave that Tonse is having, it is a clear indictment that there's a huge amount of people in Zambia that are not satisfied with what is going on. And that huge group is willing to give a vote of no confidence in the UPND.
Do you think the Tonse Alliance, led by Mr. Brian Mundui, can win the election?
There are things they need to do.
Okay.
There are three things that will be critical.
Okay.
One is voter turnout. Two is the winning margins in your strongholds. And three is the losing margins in your weak hordes.
Okay.
These will play a critical role.
Okay.
I deal a little bit with numbers because after all is said and done, elections are about numbers.
Please refer to numbers. I'm happy to hear what your numbers are saying.
And every candidate who is running this election must know that if you look at the projections, we will need about 3.1 million to 3.4 million votes for you to win the elections. Because if you just do the projections of the voter turnout in the last three elections, it will show you that with the 8.7 million people that have been registered, and with a projected voter turnout of about 62%, you expect to have around 6.2 million people voting for in this election. And if you have that 6.2 million people to 6.5 million people voting, remove the spoiled ballot papers, remove the rejected ballot papers, a winning candidate should get at least between 3.1 million to 3.4 million votes to reach the 50% plus one.
Okay.
Now, let's look at...
Can Mr. Mundubile get that?
If he does what needs to be done, number one, and this goes for both, the voter turnout in Lusaka and Copperbelt will be crucial because Lusaka and Copperbelt account for the largest block of registered voters, which is 2.7 million.
Right.
So if the voter turnout in Lusaka is in 70s and above, and if the Brian Munduire's group sweep Lusaka with large margins, that gives them a very good chance of offsetting the strongholds of President Hakainde Hichilema. So they have to work on the voter turnout, but also making sure that those voters actually go and vote. And then they have to win Lusaka and Copperbelt with a huge margin. There is another statistic that is very crucial. Estimates around 5.2 million registered voters are in the rural regions. Okay. And there are around 3.6, 3.7 million, 3.5 million are in the urban districts. So around 5.2 million estimated voters are in the rural setup, and around 3.5 million registered voters estimated in the urban. And remember that the urban voters are moved by the economy. Issues of high cost of living, load shedding, these things, they mean a lot to them.
Right.
And this is where the Mundwile camp must make sure that they get a huge chunk of these votes, and make sure that they maximize on the voter turnout and maximize on the 2.7 million people that are registered in the Copperbelt and Lusaka. Now, Central Province has always been a contentious province. 2016, 2015, and 2021 elections will show you that UPND and PF, it has always been almost 50-50. In the last time, President Hakainde Hichilema won, I think, by 52%. PF lost by 48% in Central Province. Right. Now, in Eastern Province, the PF got about 63%. The UPND got about 27%. Now, Eastern and Central account for 1.9 million voters.
Together, yes.
So depending on how the winning margins and the voter turnout would be, if the UPND maintains their winning streak in Central Province and they win big, and the opposition go to Eastern Province and sweep Eastern Province and they win big, it will negate Southern Province. Because the traditional strongholds of the opposition PF has been Muchinga, Luapula, and Northern.
Northern, yes.
And these account for about 1.8 million votes. Muchinga, Northern, Luapula accounts for 1.8 million votes. Then Western, Northwestern, and Southern Province accounts for 2.2 million votes. So the winning margins in your strongholds will be very crucial. Right. So both campaigns...
I would actually say, in saying what you are saying, I would actually say your losing margins must be smart.
Very.
Right. Because when I look at what you are just from saying, what it tells me is either PF or UPND, Tonse and the UPND must be saying we can't win in Southern, Northwestern, and Western because traditionally these have been the strongholds for the UPND. But how are we losing?
Yes.
I think that ends up being the question.
So the voter turnout will be crucial in your strongholds.
Right,
Make
your voter
sure
turnout, exactly.
You push the voter turnout to over 70% of the people to go out and vote, and you have to put mechanisms to make sure that you have 70% and above of the people going to vote. And number two, you win with landslides.
Right.
And losing in your weak hordes, you have to lose na ulemu. Luza na ulemu. Ngozi mkaluza kwati vana wa skulu ni shiasira game.
Exactly. And we can spend a bit more time on there because the voter turnout in Southern Province has normally been above 92%.
They have had a very good voter turnout.
Normally they come out to vote. And if the Tonse has to be comfortable, they have to push at least 15, 20% if they can.
Yes.
Do you think they can?
Kumusanza.
It's a difficult one.
No, I mean, if you look at the numbers from 2021, 2016, 2015 presidential elections in 2015, in 2016, and general elections in 2021, it is not easy because unless things have changed, which we don't know, the people are the ones who decide.
Right.
But it's not easy. Right. That's why my advice to my relatives is that in the opposition strongholds, especially Lusaka urban, Copperbelt urban, they have to push to sweep those with the landslide margins.
Yeah, and I want us to move very swiftly from one province to another because this is very critical. For some people do not understand numbers as you do understand, and you've seen elections, and I've equally seen some, elections and how people vote. Earlier, you talked about the fact that whether you like it or not, there are more voters in the rural areas than there are in the urban areas. And that's a very, very big deal.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I want us to move province to province, because in the end, you end up having a 2006 situation.
Yes, of Levi
Mwanawasa, where Michael is 100% convinced he has gotten the election. Why? Because the numbers in Lusaka and Copperbelt were huge. Absolutely huge. And he knew that he'd gotten the elections without factoring the fact that there are a lot of rural votes which are supposed to be, to pour in. When you look at Western and Northwestern, From what you are hearing, what are the sentiments? Some people are saying that Northwestern, the grounds have shifted, Western, the ground has shifted, and the UPND is not as popular as it was in previous elections because some people feel that they have been neglected. What is your analysis of that?
That could be very true to the extent that, you know, the UPND was a promise. After 5 years, it's no longer a promise. Now they are held by their own record. They have a record of how they've run this country in the last 5 years. So the issue of we are going to do this for you, we are going to do this for you is gone. Because now they are being viewed not only about a promise, now they're viewed about what they have delivered in the last 5 years.
Right.
And that gives them a disadvantage to an extent that they cannot go back and claim that, look, vote for us, we'll do these things. Because people now are looking at, okay, but we voted for you and you didn't do these things. So the love affair that was there, of course, it could be very true that those sentiments are real because they have changed, because they are no longer an opposition political party, they are an incumbent, and they are being judged by their works. So this is one of the things that the opposition has to take advantage of. They have to take advantage of. Now, remember there are about 75 seats that the opposition has not fielded in.
Here 72. Give and take 72.
72,
they have not fielded candidates in.
My question is, what is the presence? Because again, it comes back to the presence. Do they have the presence?
Right.
When they haven't fielded candidates,
Are they going there to campaign?
Are they campaigning? Have they put up structures in those places to make sure that they go door to door and they move the numbers? Because if you don't have the troops on the ground and you don't have radio, TV, social media, and all these interactions, then you cannot just sit and say we have those numbers. You don't. Right. For you to have those numbers, you need to have people on the ground. You need to have actual people doing door-to-door campaigns, meeting up stakeholders and going and meeting people in those constituencies and those districts. You cannot just assume those people are yours.
Right.
No, you can't. Even when they are dissatisfied, you need to take advantage of that anger and that frustration and use those emotions and use that as a fuel to go and campaign. So the question is, have they put mechanisms? Do they have troops and boots on the ground? Do they have the resources to do those things?
I would find it strange.
To take advantage of these satisfaction of the people have.
I would find it very interesting if a political party cannot find a candidate to stand, but they can find a leader to lead people to.
It is not easy.
It would be very weird to find such a situation.
It's more of a contradiction.
Right. And going back to, because we're trying to do a very quick province to province analysis, Northwestern and Western, let's bundle them together.
Yeah, and just very quickly, on issues of sentiment, yes, people might be demotivated and people might be frustrated, but that's exactly what we should use as opposition, as a fuel,
right,
to move our numbers. So we need to take advantage of that, to have a clear message, to give them hope, to have a clear message, to give them that zeal, and to make sure that we have the people on the ground to turn that anger and frustration into votes.
Right.
The issue of just they have changed, no, because this is what they used to tell President Edgar Lungu. I sat in a meeting and they were telling President Edgar Lungu, no, Southern Province, President Yachinja. You are going to win Southern Province, you are going to win Western Province, you are going to win Northwestern, the ground has shifted, and I said, Your Excellency, no, that's a lie.
Then the numbers came.
The numbers came, it was a disaster.
Right.
So we cannot just assume. That's why we, for instance, as DPP, these numbers and analysis we do, we have people, we are doing polling, we are doing surveys to check these numbers and ask people questions. So you need to have the actual work being done on the ground.
So
not just assume.
Can Mundubile's Tonse lose intelligently if they are to lose in Western and Northwestern?
So they have to learn the lessons.
What is your prediction?
They have to learn the lessons from the 2021 elections. We were in power. We had all the resources and all the government machinery. We lost very, very badly in those places.
Right.
And if they have learned why we lost very badly in those, then they can turn the wheel around. It's up to them. I don't know whether they have learned or they have not learned from the lessons of 2021. If they have learned from the lessons of 2021, with all the money, with the power of Incumbency and losing so badly, then they have to learn to say, okay, we lost so badly in 2021. Where do we go wrong as PF? And can we use those lessons so that we lose intelligently in 2026. It's up to them.
Then there is the northern bloc. You have Muchinga there, Wapula, and Muchinga UPND has always performed very bad. It has not been good for the UPND. And I don't know if anything has changed. I would like to hear from you if you think there are any fundamental changes from the government position where, in terms of service delivery in that area, in the northern bloc, in the Muchinga, northern province, and Wapula. Do you think the people there could have a motivation enough to change the dynamics and make President Hichilema lose intelligently that side if he is losing?
So one of the things that made President Hakainde Hichilema winning in 2021 was his improvement, in fact, to a level where he overtook PF in Lusaka and Copperbelt. He won Lusaka by 63%. He had 63% of the vote in Lusaka. And President Lungu had only 32% of the vote in Lusaka. And in Copperbelt, he had 54.9% of the vote. And the President Lungu only had 40% of the vote. This helped him to push him. But also, it is interesting of how he moved. Let's take, for instance, Muchinga. He got 31.1% in Muchinga.
Right.
In 2021. President Lungu had 62%. He got 40% in Northern. And President Lungu 53%. So he got 40%.
Was losing intelligently.
He was losing very intelligently. Actually, he was gaining.
Right.
It wasn't even the losses were not losses. They are,
looking at it,
yes, because he was doubling and tripling what he had gotten in 2015 and 2016. He tripled and doubled. And in Luapula, he got 20%. In the Eastern Province, he got 27%.
Right.
And this was a huge improvement from the 9%, 8% he used to get in the previous elections. So even the opposition right now, they must make sure that in northwestern, western, and southern, look at western. President Lungu had 10% in Western Province, 10%. President Hichilema had 85%.
That's a sitting president.
Yes, he had 10%, sitting head of state. In southern, he had 8.6% in Southern Province. In Northwestern Province, he had 13%. So those were bad losses.
Right.
So sweep Lusaka and Copperbelt, sweep Eastern Province. Right. That's a road for the opposition. Sweep Northern, Muchinga, Luapula, and they don't lose badly in Western, Northwestern, and Southern. And make sure that you pay attention to the voter distribution of estimated 5.2 million in the rural areas and estimated 3.5 in the urban areas. Because if you don't take a calculated strategic move on these numbers, you end up like President Michael Sata in 2008, where he was saying, simple vubri. Has given me these votes. Has given Rupiah Bande, has won. Where these numbers come from? So they need to pay attention to this. And then you have to be very clear, what messages are you giving these people? What strategies are you employing? Right. And what mechanisms do you have to ensure that people go and vote? The resources are extremely important, including the voter protection. So the opposition must make sure that there's a voter protection mechanism that is very strong, because you need to make sure that at the polling stations, your votes are protected.
Do you think the resentment in Lusaka and Copperbelt is so high that the sitting president can actually reduce from the figures you're just...
Yes, 54% in Copperbelt and 63%.
Do you think he can slide down to below the 50% threshold in terms of the resentment that you are seeing now? Do you see that happening?
It is very possible.
Okay.
You know, what the opposition needs to do, there are just a few things. And I think that these few things, if they pay a little bit of attention, they can change this. The sentiments of resentment and anger are real.
Okay.
The president and the UPND are not popular in these urban cities.
Right.
They are not popular because life has become more difficult. Life has become more expensive. And these are facts. But look, Elections are won based on strategy, based on messaging, based on the actual work that you do on the ground, based on coalition. And talking about coalition, let me say this thing about President Hakainde Hichilema, and I applaud him for this. He's gone beyond and above to make sure that he brings everybody to his camp.
Okay.
The UPND Alliance team has continued to grow. They have continued to pick more presidents.
Right.
And more endorsements. These things are not happening haphazardly, no. There is a deliberate investment they are making in terms of reaching out to these people.
Right.
To grow their numbers. They have spent a lot of time reaching out to student movements, labor movement, political party players to grow their numbers. And I've seen that they have even reached out to the people they did not adopt. They have reached out to independents.
Right, right.
They have reached out to all these people. There's a story that I just read in the Diggers today that 6 mayors and 7 members of parliament and 176 councillors have gone unopposed. So they have reached out.
All those are UPND.
Yeah, they're UPND.
Right.
So they have continued to reach out. And this is one of the things that the opposition has to learn. You don't close the door.
Right.
No, you need every vote because every vote counts. So they need to continue reaching out to people. There's a reason why President Hakainde Hichilema is reaching out to everybody. And also I can see he does like 4 rallies per day.
Right.
He goes into a province and within 3 days he does between 12 to 16.
Right.
Between 3 to 4 days he does about 12 to 16 rallies. Okay. Yes, because he has got he has got the resources. Yeah. He can fly to one venue to the next venue, and he has unlimited resources. But that doesn't guarantee him the win, because we saw it in 2021. There was no going around to campaign because there was COVID and there were restrictions. And President Hakainde Hichilema won with a landslide.